Yippee! Hi guys, this is a quick update on my ENB. Search for the ENB that works with anti-aliasing. Can you see? No shimmer. Well, it's a very slight shimmer. Very, very slight. I almost don't notice it, and I'm looking for it. I actually think that if I played this now, I wouldn't notice that. Pretty cool, right? And that is with the ENB working. That is all thanks to another YouTuber called Xilandro, who sent me a load of settings for NVIDIA Inspector, and they worked perfectly. I'm currently running 4 times multi-sampling and 2 times super sampling on the transparencies, which is pretty good. He was actually suggesting 4 times super sampling with some other setting, I can't remember what it was, and that apparently does make it look a lot better. However, it did hit my frame rate. Dropped my frame rate here to about 36, whereas this still 60 frames a second, and you can see it very slightly. You probably will not see it on the video any more than normal because YouTube videos shimmer slightly anyway due to the bad quality. That it is there as I'm moving sideways now. The pylons shimmer a tiny bit, but I'm looking for it. If I'm looking at these engineers, I'm looking at this shack, I'm really not noticing it. For me, this is actually quite nice. I noticed it a little bit on the truck. You see the truck wireframe? It is there. I'm wondering if I increased my super sampling up. I'm going to play with the settings more actually and see if I can get it even better, but this gives me 60 frames a second, and up close the shimmer is gone, and the world looks rather nice. So yeah, big thanks to Xilandro. I'm going to link down to his channel down below. I believe it is the same Xilandro, the mod author of, oh, what's it called? There's a new ENB. I'll put a link to that down below as well. I'm going to try that one, Blackened or something, and he was very helpful, gave me a lot of great advice. I might push my settings up even further because I am getting ready to upgrade my graphics card. I'm running a 670 at the moment, and I think I'm going to upgrade to a 780. Same make, Asus. I'm really impressed with this card. The Direct 2CU cooler is amazingly quiet and amazingly cool. So I'm thinking of getting that because it looks like it'll give me, say, a 30 or 40% boost in games like Skyrim. And honestly, it might actually give me enough.
War's almost upon us.
Please shush. It might give me enough frames per second boost to keep 60 here with the extra super sampling to make things look even nicer. I'll show you what settings he suggested for me. I'll show you what settings I'm running now. The trick was... Oh, before I do that, can I just check? GPU usage, 99 it went up to there. It went up to 99. I am pushing it. If I upgrade my graphics card, I will be able to push this even further. I'm doing it. I am doing it. I'll talk about that in a minute, actually. The trick was to leave the compatibility bits on Fallout, this one here, and was to change the anti-aliasing compatibility. I was changing the wrong thing, I think. I was changing the wrong thing. It's this flag here. It needs to be this number, 0040041. I think I was changing this one or something. No, I'm not sure what I was doing. And then it allowed me to set the behavior flags to none, override any application setting, and 4 times multi-sampling. I did try the 8 times Q multi-sampling, and honestly, I didn't see much of an improvement. I did see a performance drop. I'm going to play with it even more. I mean, if I get a new graphics card, I will definitely push it. The suggested super sampling is sparse grid super sampling and 4 times. However, as you saw, if I do this, I will put down and show you the effect it has. The anisotropic filtering mode set to user-defined or off, filtering setting to 16, and set the texture filtering LOD bias to minus 0.3750. Now, what he sent me was there was only one value for this, whereas on my version of NVIDIA Inspector, It splits it into DX and OpenGL. I'm setting it on both. I'm hoping that is correct. So that's what helped with the distant terrain. These are the settings that help with that shimmer, and they do seem to work really well. You must remember to turn off anti-aliasing in your launcher, in the New Vegas launcher, and you must turn off edge detect and the anisotropic filtering mode that comes with the ENB. Excuse me. Struggling for words tonight. It happens. I will show you what I'm talking about. Control F, edge. On the, there you go. Edge enabled AA to false. And the other value was, if I can find it, there you go, force anisotropic filtering set to false. And I did that. I got that lovely picture. And there you are. As you can see, the performance, 36 frames a second, which is not good. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, 30 frames a second is fine. Oh, God, no, not for me. I mean, I actually find it... I know what it's like on the recording. On the recording, you're probably not going to notice it, obviously, because it gets reduced to 30 frames a second. But I feel like there's a stutter. I really do feel like there's a stutter on this. And I actually think you're going to see it in the recording. This game does tend to stutter, in my opinion, when you drop below 60. Even with the stutter remover installed, which I do have installed, I believe. Anyway, setting it back to 2x super sampling, and as you can see, 60 frames a second. And for me, the world just looks really nice. This is probably what I'll use until I get a new graphics card, although that's probably going to happen fairly soon. I think a 780 would let me push the super sampling even higher and look even better. I will play with the settings a little bit more. Actually, on the topic of hardware, I am thinking of keeping my 670 and using it as a PhysX card, standalone PhysX card, so that I can get, I mean, that's overkill, I know, a 670 for PhysX, but there you go. I would love to be able to get Borderlands 2 playing with high PhysX and keep 120 frames a second without dropping. That would be pretty damned awesome. I don't know if any of you have seen Borderlands 2 with full PhysX. It's pretty cool, actually. It has a lot of cool little effects. But they stutter your frame rate. So your frame rate drops from 120 down to sort of 50, 45. And anyone who uses 120 hertz monitor will tell you the same thing. If you're playing at 120 and it drops to 50, it feels awful. It feels terrible. It would be better to cap your game at 50 and just play that. Stuttering frame rate is horrible. It really feels nasty. And I know what you're all thinking, oh, first world problems, I only get 30 frames a second. Well, you're there. I built a system to get maximum FPS for a reason. I'm really, really bothered by low FPS. What else? Oh yeah, tell you what, whilst we're discussing hardware, I am thinking about buying a game controller. And the reason is, someone has told me that when I do things like free cam, when I do free cams, I'm going to change that to lower. And I sort of pan around, you try and keep it smooth with your mouse, but it's not actually that easy. Even with low mouse sensitivity, let me change this speed even lower. It's easier to see if I slow it down. So when I'm traveling around trying to focus on the armor and I'm trying to keep it in, I don't know if you can see, but it's really hard, even on low, to keep it steady. And I'm barely moving the mouse. And I'm on fairly low mouse sensitivity for what I'm used to. And I've been told with a game controller, that type of thing is dead easy because you just set it on very low sensitivity. Indeed, you just keep your finger on the button. You don't have to move anything. And it makes it a lot easier to do those cool round shots. And apparently a lot of other YouTubers do that. So I'm going to order one of those. And I'm really curious if it's possible to actually play a game like Skyrim with a game controller. I can't imagine doing that. I really can't. I don't know how console people play first-person games with that type of controller. I can imagine platform games, yeah, sure. First-person games without a mouse, just completely alien concept to me. Not being able to turn with a mouse, just alien. So yeah, so that's what I'm thinking of doing on with regards hardware. Oh, and one last thing before you go. I am curious as to what you think of the avatar. I've been using this picture as my avatar for quite a while, but it really isn't the world's greatest avatar when you look at it in comments section and you're trying to find. I mean, most people have very simple avatars, things you can see quite easily what they are, and that picture was quite difficult to see when it was this small. So I just changed it to the only logo I've got, which is Steve. So I am curious as to what you think about that. Appropriate, not appropriate, distinctive enough, change the colour maybe. Just give me some feedback. Okay? See you next time.
Yippee-yay, there'll be no wedding bells for today.